Hello, this is the RPG Crawler, and welcome to Indie Game Friday, the show where I take a look at various independent role-playing, and apparently role-playing-like, games. This week, we're going to continue with another look at another action game, Enter the Gungeon. Developed by Dodge Roll and published by Devolver Digital, it was released on Steam on April 5th, 2016, and is available on Steam and GOG.com. The base price is $14.99 US, though I believe it is on sale for a little while as of this recording. Okay, so this game is not marketed as an RPG, but I defend my inclusion of it by virtue of the fact that it has more qualities of an RPG than many of the games I've played in this series. That, and I really wanted to play it. I was not disappointed once I got into it. On the surface, it is a roguelike action bullet hell style game. Digging deeper, it is a roguelike action bullet hell style game with RPG qualities. The basic story is that long ago some great weapon was used to obliterate this keep, and a remnant remains within, a gun that can kill time. And thus a scattering of random gunslingers of various sorts has come to try and retrieve it from the ruins of the keep below. It's a decent enough story, enough to get you started in the dungeon. The bulk of the game consists of a bullet hell style shooter in RPG form. The dungeon layout is randomly generated, enemies are randomly scattered within, and you shoot them while they shoot at you. At the end of the floor is a boss, which is randomly selected from a subset of bosses in set-piece style rooms, similar to how the Crypt of the Necrodancer functioned. The basic enemies vary wildly in form and function, from basic pea shooters to heavy hitters that throw out broad, room-sweeping bullet patterns, to caster types that throw strange patterns of bullets and cast effects on others in the room, and so on and so forth. It's a strange mix, with a combination of enemies that you'd see in any roguelike, as well as enemies that you'd see in a shoot-'em-up. I highly recommend a controller for this. I honestly don't see how someone could play on a keyboard-mouse combo, but I'm sure it's possible. No doubt many people are far more skilled at such things than I am. Mechanically, it is not quite a twin-stick shooter. Certainly you move with the left stick and aim with the right, but you have to intentionally hit the trigger button to fire. This is because each gun, beyond the most basic one, has a limited amount of ammunition, and from that, a limited amount you can hold in the magazine before having to reload. You can intentionally reload early, between rounds of combat, or you can simply attempt to fire on an enemy with an empty clip, and it will reload automatically. That is handy during firefights. There is a little leniency in the aiming. I've discovered that as long as you're firing in generally the right direction, there's a little bit of a lock-on which will adjust the bullet trajectory just so slightly, so you don't have to agonize over the exact precision, although it does help to be precise. There is a jump and roll button which can allow you to jump over incoming waves of projectiles, as well as allow you to bypass pits, trenches, and the like. You're invulnerable during the first half of this jump, so it can be a handy dodge mechanic as well. You can kick over tables and barrels to either serve as cover or to roll onto enemies for different effects. Water barrels leave a trail of water to slow enemies, while explosive barrels explode, and so forth. You can pick up things called blanks, which basically clear the screen of bullets and knock enemies back, as well as med kits that can refill your health when used. There are usable items, which you can pick up and use with a special ability button, as well as the occasional ammo recharge for those firearms with limited amounts of ammunition. So far, it sounds like a complex shooter, except that you can also select different classes. These classes start with different weapon and gear layouts. There is a health meter, which you can refill by collecting hearts or half-hearts. During the dungeon crawl itself, you can pick up various other items that power up your passive abilities, like armor to withstand hits and things that modify your jump and dodge rolls. You can collect spent shell casings, which are used as money in shops that you come across, as well as a variety of different weapons, which you can select between on the fly. All of this taken into consideration means that you've got a game with at least as much character customization and development as some of the other roguelikes that are qualified as RPGs. And oh my god, the guns. I uncovered like maybe half a dozen during my short playtime, and each one was unique and fun to use. I could easily see most of them being used in drastically different situations. It's important, however, to get an alternative gun as soon as possible, because the basic pea shooter is such a slow shot and it does nothing special. It tends to get boring real quick. Furthermore, you always pretty much start with the basic pea shooter, so the first level tends to be kind of boring at the start. As you complete each room, a large number of them have teleporters in them, which unlock after the room is cleared. In some rooms, these teleporters are key to avoiding obstacles or accessing areas, but mostly they just serve as a means to cut down on running back and forth through the dungeon, a problem that I've had with similar roguelike crawlers. Rather than backtracking through the whole floor to go down a corridor you missed, you can just teleport back to the last room you finished before it, anywhere on the level. This greatly speeds up exploration and play, and is a mechanic I'd love to see in more of these types of games. The gameplay is definitely more shoot 'em up than RPG, but the variety of power-ups, the randomly generated rooms, and so forth means that a fan of the recent surge of action roguelikes like Binding of Isaac might find themselves right at home here. The challenge is pretty high for me because of my old man reflexes. However, I still ended up playing this, rather poorly I might add, for hours after capturing the footage for this video. The graphics and interface are definitely retro-inspired, but incredibly polished. The music is really nice, although it does stand to have a bit more variety. After a while, the same theme gets kind of old. It also has a co-op mode, which I was unable to try prior to this review, but which I've heard is pretty decent actually. The humor is amusing throughout, and the art style is ridiculously over the top. Everything seems to have a gun theme. It's kind of really delightfully enjoyable. I'm not sure how much depth the game has past the first few levels, because after several hours of play, I was still struggling to get past the second stage. However, I have to say that I was highly entertained the entire time, even while I was getting my butt handed to me. Whether it's worth the asking price depends entirely on whether you like a little RPG upgrade in your shoot 'em up. For me, that's a definite yes. As always, I'll put links in the description below. Next week, I promise I'll return to a more traditional RPG. This has been the RPG Crawler. If you like what you've seen, remember to leave a like, comment if you got feedback, and subscribe for more RPG content. Until next time, take care and goodbye.